Welcome to The Trend with Justin A.Williams, and this is our special series called Enter the Constellation. So, what we're going to talk about today is my debut novel, Reborn, Virtue of the Constellation. Yeah, pretty cool cover, right? It's got, you can buy this on Amazon and wherever I want books are sold online, and it's got animation, pictures, depictions of the scenes in the book. And that is the hardcover. That's the second edition. The first edition had my face on it, and that is also on sale. And there you can also find the Kindle version and also now the audiobook. The audiobook is live and ready to be bought on Audible and soon I think iTunes and Amazon. So that's pretty exciting. And also going to pump my mom's book, Death of the Good Girl by Dr. Teresa Taylor Williams. Excellent novel about the decay of a neighborhood and how that affected her the rest of her life as she got married and tried to be a good person in society, but then had to kind of turn into a kind of more rational person, a person who is ready for all things, a person who can take on all challengers. So it's a really great book. And I suggest you buy it or buy it for your mom. She'll love it, sister, or anyone who's interested in the kind of late 70s, early 80s changes in this country. So, what are we going to talk about today? Today, briefly, we're going to talk about how I came about the idea for the book and then what made me want to write or do my own narration in my audiobook. So, it's two things. So, starting off, I think it was during COVID, and I said to myself, I was pretty stagnant. I tried another book and I just wasn't getting good feedback. And then one person gave me feedback and said, "Your format is all wrong. I mean, you're saying he said and she said after every line." Seems like a silly mistake to make, but it's a mistake that probably a lot of authors make when you have no guidance at all. So I just thought to myself, what can I do? Because I wanted to rewrite it and re-edit it, but at the same time I wanted to be creative. So I came up with Reborn, and it was not the book I ever dreamed of writing. It wasn't the easiest to write. It didn't flow out of me initially. But at first, we wrote it in first person, and I did that because I thought that would be the easiest way to connect to the text. And what's interesting enough is if you write something in first person and then you shift it into third person, you still stay as connected to the text as if you were writing it in first person. It's a remarkable phenomenon. So I'm not suggesting you do that when you write your writing, but what I am suggesting is that you find your own way to really make sure that you are not the character. You are not any characters in your story. It's not a dream. It's not an autobiography. You don't need to do some meta thing where somehow the author is every character. Your opinions and your I guess you could say beliefs can be shown in different characters, but there has to be nuance, right? You can't I have a lot of foils in my story. In the story, Christian Belvedere has Wet, who is the Egyptian god of opening doorways, and he's kind of a foil to Christian. Christian has all these ideas and all these beliefs and all these ways of operating, and Wep is always kind of weighing into the doorways of whether they're going to be effective for him to cross into different thresholds, that he needs to basically don't be a dumbass, right? Like, don't do this, don't do that, because this is going to get you in trouble, and I'd rather not see that happen. But they butt heads a lot. There's also the Paulie character. Paulie is a character who is on the team of the Olympians, and he is an antagonist to Christian, but yet someone that Christian feels like maybe there's some redemptive qualities to him. Maybe there's a little bit of him in Paulie, and he seeks to get closer to him, and maybe even save him from the fate that he has, the tragic, tragic fate that he has in the story. So, just a little bit more about the book. The gods in this book, the ancient Greek gods, have a tragic, tragic tale because they make a huge mistake, one out of passion, and they're condemned and cursed for since antiquity. They are responsible for all the machinations of monsters and evil beings in the medieval period that people talked about. You know, why Christendom was so angsty towards witches and things of that nature and the supernatural. And they played off that until they controlled the world. But they don't control Parthenon University. There's something very, very important at Christian University. And when I was thinking of how to come up with that, this grandiose idea of how to make the gods modern, I thought to myself, I need to be truthful to who they are in myth. I can't have them just being kind of these dainty, nice child, um, I guess you could say, not childlike, but, playful characters that you see in Percy Jackson. I love the Percy Jackson books. I actually read them as an adult, not as a kid, but I wanted something mature and I want something true to who they've been in myths, but also true to who they were in religiosity, right? Like these were worshipped beings, so they have a lot of them had their own religious orders. Dionysus has the Orphic order, or he's also in the Elysian Mysteries. If you know anything about that, the Elysian Mysteries are the rites and rituals to understanding the afterlife, but also understanding the ways of Persephone, possibly Hecate, possibly Helios involved, but Demeter, and definitely Dionysus is involved with that too. So they called them cults, but they were basically religious orders that had their own possibly scriptures. They definitely have rituals and celebrations and events. And I want to stay true to that. I wanted to stay true to these gods feeling as if like they need to be worshipped in a spiritual sense, that they are spiritual beings, that that to confront them is to confront the divine, and not just the divine in terms of violence and action in movie tropes, but to think about the philosophical um, notions and this philosophical kind of aspect of there being gods that are real, right? Like if you walked on the street and you met some divine being, what does that make you question about yourself? What does it make you question about reality? And that's kind of all within this book. So it might seem like this is a heavy read, right? Like this is a lot to take on. And when I was writing it, it was heavy. It was heavy for me emotionally, it was heavy for me psychologically, because I kept getting drawn into my own story and saying, man, what would I do here? What would I do there? And I think what I started to do with the help of my editor is Robbie Grayson of Trademarker Books, a great editor and publisher, and he says you have to understand that the distance away from the character is going to make you long for the book and long for the character and miss it. And when you're missing it, when you're not writing it, that's the sweet spot. You don't want to get so ingrained that you're doing it every single second of the day. And that would be my advice to any writer who wants to get published. Don't write every day. Don't even write every week. Take some time away from it. Take some time off. Let it germinate within you. It lives within you. These ideas are going to live within you. In your subconscious, it's going to germinate. And then when you get back to it, you're going to have fresh eyes, fresh hands, and you're going to be able to look back at the book and say, wow, what I really want to accomplish now is refreshed by the fact that I took some time away. And I think that's really, really, really important. Um, I think what really helped me was that during COVID, I simply could not work every single day. I had other responsibilities. And then once COVID ended and it was we've edited the book, time to get it published, um, we really were excited about the prospect of this being a series, not just being one isolated kind of experience, but something where people could enjoy kind of in a way that the story would continue. So that affected the ending of the book. The ending of the book originally was just going to be the end of the series. And it was going to tie up the bow and it would just be one shot because I really, really wanted to get to this other book that I wrote and have that come out. That was my opus to me. But what I've learned is you got to suppress ego, right? And when I was about 10 years old, I started going to a Buddhist temple in New York City. I started taking Shaolin Kung Fu lessons, but also lessons on Chan Buddhism. And they taught me to flatten your heart, and which is basically kind of like your ego, right? You have to be a moderate person, and you have to be in control and calm, and you have to look at your own art with a sense of sanity and a sense of outwardness. You have to say, what are my goals? I want this to sell. Okay. I want it to be branded well. I want engagement. I want followers. I want a movie. Everybody wants that, all the whole gig. But what do you really want out of that? Why do you want those auxiliary material things, right? The reason why I want what I want out of this story is I want a new way of looking at how we can be creative in a fantasy novel and what we can touch upon in the philosophical sense, but also how we can entertain people. I wanted people to know that when they buy a Justin Williams book, a Justin A. Williams book, that they're getting not only a great story, but an experience, something that will enthrall them, something they'll have memories of and take back. And I wanted rereadability. I wanted it to be something where some things are coded, some things are not so obvious, some things are tricking you. Am I a reliable narrator? Right? Are there Easter eggs? Do I literally tell you how the story series is going to end within something within the first book? Right? And I love this quote about I think it was Dostoevsky, where he says, "If you load a gun in the first act, it has to go off by the third or the fifth." And I love that, right? Setting things up, but you have to have payoff. Do not leave your audience dangling. And I think one thing that I can leave you with, um, in terms of why I started to narrate this series is, again, I wanted to reconnect with my story, understand my story. And I know that from narrating my story myself, from people saying I had a good voice to do it, I did it in a rational sense. I asked people, do you think you'd like to hear my voice do it? And they said yes. But I think what really got me to the point where I was going to be daring enough to put myself out there and even sing on the track. You hear that? Is that I wanted to re-enter this world. I was excited for it as a fan of kind of what I wrote, and I wanted to really be able to connect in a way so that book two and book three could be as good as they possibly can be. That I know the material. This is my life's work. I know what happened in every chapter. I know what happened on every page, and from reading it, you won't forget that. It's just like the old school way we used to be students, right? I mean, millennials are the last pencil generation for the most part. Taking things to pen and pencil. When I was in college, one time I wanted to ace a philosophy class, so I went on Wikipedia and I went on other websites and I typed in what some of the questions might be on the test, and I literally hand wrote the answers. And these were pages. So I wrote upwards of 3 pages over and over and over again to memorize these answers. And then it clicked. I was like, wow, you know what? I get what is happening. Now I understand this philosophy. I understand Kant. I understand Hegel. I understand Spinoza a little bit better, enough to where I got one of my only A's in college. But still, um, narrate your own stuff. Find the voice that's going to work. It doesn't have to be all booming and big like kind of mine is at times. It can be soft, delicate. There's many different types of voices out there, and voice work I think is a great tool and a great skill and a great profession. I want to do more of it. I'd love to be able to be the voice actor if this ever becomes a movie or a film, to be a voice actor of some character. Particularly, I'm working on a character called Skull. That's in a book that I really hope comes out someday. Um, but yeah, I mean that would be about Paulie and his dimension. But anyway, back to this. Narrating will give you the gift of true knowledge of your book, and you'll be able to see, you know what? Next time I'm going to take this direction, or next time I'm going to polish this up a little bit, and or develop this more, have this scene be longer, this scene be shorter. Now that you hear it and you hear yourself saying it, it's like, oh, okay, I really get what maybe some people were saying as critiques, but getting as saying things that are applauding your book and really excited about what you've done. And I think it's also great to have an excited heart. Always keep an excited heart about what you've done. No one is going to be a better advocate for what you've done than yourself. You cannot trust anyone in this world to advocate for you as much as yourself. and you can accrue a great team around you that can work for you. But if you don't have that excitement in your heart for what you've done, maybe you got to choose something else. Don't become a writer because it's cool to be a writer. Don't become a writer because it's an easy way to money and fame and success. One, it's not, and two, without an excited heart about it, you're gonna be miserable, and you'll start to resent your own work. And like some people, you might start to sabotage the sequel or the third book or anything you do because you just want out. I love what I've done from the start, but that's because I've been through a lot in my life, and I've been through a lot of things that humbled me, took away my hubris, and lowered my ego. I'm grateful for those things. I'm very stoic in that way. I do read Stoic philosophy quite often and interact with it. Ryan Holiday is one of my heroes, a modern Stoic writer, an author and publisher. And I'd say from there that also led me to narrate it. The Stoicism I've been reading that's really helped my life, and reconnecting with the kind of more Gnostic Buddhist part of my spiritual tradition. I've always loved the Gnostic Gospels. And I've always, after growing up in the church, I needed something like that. And Buddhism has been a part of me since I was 10 years old. And I've done a lot of different martial arts. The mode was always do them because of how they make you feel, not because of you're going to go and hurt people. So when I came to writing a book, I wanted to write it because I knew I could make people feel something they don't normally feel something that's going to make them a better person, make them have a better day, and maybe really contemplate things. So that's the first episode of Enter the Constellation. I'm Justin A. Williams, author of Reborn, Virtue's Constellation. And again, you can also find this and my mother's book, Death of the Good Girl, on Amazon and where books are sold online. I want to thank you for tuning in, and there'll be another episode next week or in the next 2 weeks. And you can get the audiobook on Audible. Now you can also go to my Instagram, Professor Jaws. Professor spelled like Professor Jaws, Jaws. Instagram, and in my link tree, you can find links to everything I have: my Instagram, my X, my Twitter, Audible link, and now my new YouTube series, Myth Mentality, which is picking up subscribers as we speak. I think we're almost at 300 within the past couple of weeks. So we've been driving that home, driving content, just to make sure that people understand that with me, you're gonna get a conversation and a dialogue. No more, no less. I'm trying to make people better based off my understanding. I don't claim to be the most expert in any given thing, but I do know that I know myself, and I think I can help people. And I need to build this community. So help me build a community. Like, share, subscribe this episode and all my content. And you have a great day. Remember, we're better when we trend together.